Hi, my name is Bart Genicus. Welcome to the Retail and Consumer Goods Summit. I lead partnership for Google's business communication products. During my time at Google, I've also worked in our advertising business, our smart business technologies, and now with our messaging communications business, I've had a chance to closely interact with marketers from all over the world in the retail and consumer goods space. I'm excited to spend the next few minutes chatting about how all of these come together through the power of conversational commerce with Google. Let's get started. Let's start with people and their changing behaviors. Today, more than ever, people want to use messaging to connect with friends and family. At Google, we've seen a big uptake in people spending more time on messaging services, and no doubt accelerated because of the pandemic. Personally, I found my own messaging behavior increasing, that ability to connect or to reconnect in real time at any time. And it's not news that people love messaging each other, but we're increasingly seeing they want to message to businesses that they search for, that they shop with, or that they visit too. From knowing whether a store is open, to buying online and scheduling a pickup, inquiring about a product, or simply asking for help from the experts as they move from consideration to intent. People find messaging convenient, but not always. Unfortunately, it's hard for brands to deliver a seamless purchase experience. Let me share a recent example. Earlier in the summer, I was looking to buy a pair of fishing shoes. Yes, specifically fishing shoes, and not just any. They needed to be slip-on with grippy soles and easy to dry. Anyway, here's a sampling of my journey. I started by reading ratings and reviews. Then I mapped out the closest store. I went there to try that perfect pair, but it was out of stock. So I had to call up a different store. Then I visited their site to check delivery and returns policy. Finally, I ordered that pair and then had to hop between emails to understand when the product was actually being delivered. Finally, after it arrived, it was great. But then I needed to reach back out to the customer care team to figure out the best way to really clean those fishing shoes. At the end of the day, this experience is frustrating for a user, but at least I have my shoes. But what if things were different? What if your consumers could message you wherever they are, in that moment of need, and in one conversation? Our teams at Google are thinking about precisely this. With Google's conversational commerce experiences, customers can reach a business from wherever they are in their journey. Say search or maps on their Android devices or on your website, app, or social presence. All of this in the moment they need you. Together, we're able to combine the power of reach and intent signals. With Google's business messages, brands can deliver helpful, timely, and engaging experience in a customer's moment of need, and in the places they're looking for answers, across Google Search and Google Maps and any brand-owned channel. For instance, in the US, consumers can get information on vaccines by messaging with Albertsons Company's banner pharmacies like Albertsons, Safeway, and Vons. Likewise, consumers can message Walmart and get a host of information, including asking whether a particular product is available in the store. And as someone who really has to budget their time, this feature is immensely valuable to me. And in Australia, Woolies customers can know whether a product is in stock and also figure out its precise location. This is critical for Woolies as they strive to offer a connected and frictionless shopper experience. Of course, it also helps to reduce the workload on in-store and centralized customer care teams. Now, as I begin to wrap up, I want to reiterate that Google's conversational commerce products are really a new creative canvas for your brand and businesses of any size to explore regardless of business objective. And we're here and we're happy to help. Okay, so a moment ago, I shared how Albertsons has been one of our best partners. It's now my pleasure to introduce Chris Rupp, EVP and Chief Customer and Digital Officer at Albertsons Companies, who's been at the forefront of the digital transformation that retailers have been leading over the last year. Chris, great to see you again. And we have a few questions to get through, but first, if you could just tell me about yourself and your team.
Yes, well, I was brought in December of 2019 with the objective of focusing more on our customers and bringing digital transformation to the company. And the company had already started its digital transformation with upgrading systems and getting much more leverage out of sharing systems across many of our banners. And that work was already well underway. But what we had not done yet is really think about our digital future with customers. And so that's what we've spent a lot of our time on in the last year and a half, particularly since there was a pandemic that made grocery shopping online even more important than I expected when I joined.
Great. Thank you, Chris. So it's been an interesting time in this space. So maybe you could take us through how things have evolved since March of 2020.
Great. Well, first of all, for customers, I think a lot of their habits have changed. You know, when the pandemic first happened, people immediately started cooking a lot more meals at home, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and there was a lot of baking that people were doing. And so over the course of the pandemic, things changed several times. If you remember early on, there was a lot of talk about the runs on toilet paper to get more toilet paper. But as things evolved later, people started to experiment with making new kinds of food that they hadn't made before. And seafood has popped up as something very popular for customers, and likely because they're going out to eat a whole lot less often. So, you know, we've been tracking these trends and seeking how we can help customers make those shopping experiences more convenient as their shopping patterns were changing. And so, of course, using a lot more e-commerce is something that happened a lot last year. And so we needed to roll out a lot more e-commerce services. We've set up over 1,000 more e-commerce hubs for Albertsons, and we've made a number of changes to make our shopping experience faster and more convenient. And those are the kinds of things that customers are really responding to.
Great. Thank you, Chris. And it's interesting to hear about the changing customer experience, both in-store and online. I'm hearing speeding up delivery, pick up and go with convenience is just a couple of options. So I would love to learn a bit more around what are the challenges that you face, the problem, and how did business messages help? And maybe if you could share a couple of actual data points on performance.
Well, over the course of the pandemic, there were lots of customers that had lots of questions about what services were available to them in terms of grocery shopping, and then later on in terms of the vaccinations that we were offering to them. And so Google Business Messages have really helped us answer customers' questions about their shopping environment, whether it was about hours or senior hours or the cleaning activities that were taking place in stores, or any one of those things that were about the changing environment in the store. And then later on, customers had lots of questions about where they could get a vaccination, what they should expect upon getting a vaccination, how that might work. And all of those things we were able to take care of by providing answers to them in this forum. And we found a lot of customers finding us there that we don't think would have found us otherwise.
Great. Thank you, Chris. It's so great to hear about the impact on both Albertsons brand advocacy and loyalty through both your vaccine service expertise and from our Google Business Messages product. All right, so just shifting gears here. As the world begins to reopen, how should businesses be thinking about the future?
Well, I think the store of the future is about making shopping much more convenient for customers and giving them a much broader offering. And so when I think about the store of the future, it's really about hyper personalization of that experience and making it so easy to do your shopping that you feel like you're the only person in the store, whether that's a digital store or a physical store. And with all of the data that we have on customers' grocery shopping habits, we can really bring that data to bear on what experiences we serve up to them so that we're getting them through the shopping experience in a lot less time than they have historically been able to spend. Together, you know, I know as we're talking about this, our teams keep talking about it as a store of one concept, which simply means we are so focused on that one customer's needs that we're finding all new ways to meet them.
Okay, Chris, I think we have time for just one more question. You were recently featured on an episode of That Digital Show podcast, where our team did a retail takeover series. You might be surprised to learn that since those episodes aired, questions have come in from the audience. So here's one that I thought was particularly interesting. Getting my organization to try new technologies is consistently a challenge. How do you gain buy-in across the organization for new experiences that require new technology or engineering support?
Well, I think sometimes I have in the past gotten so excited about a new technology, I've rushed in to tell other people about it. And that can be problematic sometimes because you haven't really first defined your customer problem and what you need to address with the technology. And what I've been finding is that it's so much easier to start with talking about what is fundamentally the customer problem you're there to solve, because lots of your coworkers are going to agree on serving customers better and in a new way. And so when you start talking about the customer problem that you're going to solve and how you'll measure success, suddenly lots of ideas become interesting, including lots of new technologies that you could bring to bear on solving the problem. So I think often when you find that others you're speaking to are not ready to adopt the new technologies that you are, taking a step back and aligning around what you're going to do for customers together is often all that you need to do to start making some progress together.
Great, thank you. And I know we're out of time. Chris, it is so wonderful to see you again. Thank you for joining. And to all of you out there, thank you. I appreciate the time.